Actually, when we recite this Heart Sutra mantra, we meditating on emptiness. So, Heart Sutra is not just mantra, rather we also, to try to understanding the ultimate reality of self and all the phenomena, because major our problem, our suffering, it comes from our misconceptual, mistake consciousness, which is called ignorance. So the mind, the things where they appear in our mind, we believe that. So where they appear in your mind, where the reality, how the things that exist, there's a huge big gap. As long as when we don't understanding the reality, then way of our seeing is mistake. That's why we grasp. That's why we believe that. So that mistaken minds create other negative thoughts, emotions, other mistaken thoughts, which are attachments or anger or hatred or jealousy and all the negative thoughts, emotions, they arises. When those negative thoughts, emotions arise, they change our way of thinking, our attitudes, or our actions, all going to be mistake, because our attitudes or actions are fully depend on our own mind. As long as when the mind is mistake, then our actions become mistake. So because of mistake mind, mistake actions, result mistake, trouble, sufferings that we are experiencing right now. So all those in this world, all the human beings, we all want to live peace and happiness. Nobody wants to suffering. Nobody wants to live with trouble, painful. But major human problem in this world is created by human beings. We create it. But nobody wants that, but we're creating. So what's the wrong? What's the problem? What's the wrong there? Is the point is that our mind, it's some kind of polluted by ignorance, misconception. So source of our suffering, it's created by our own mistaken thoughts. That's the source of suffering. As long as when the mind is very pure, where the seeing thing, everything when they become very pure, your actions, your thinking, your planning, everything's going to be plain, pure, clean things. So you act pure, thinking pure, of course results happiness, peace. So all those trouble, there's nothing to blame to society, communities, and this or that leaders. Actually, the source of suffering comes from our own mistaken thoughts. So in order to get rid of these mistaken thoughts, ignorance, just reciting prayer or just, using some kind of holy blessing pill or water, it's not going to remove our ignorance. It's not going to change that. Only the thing is, oneself have to understanding that what is the right, that the wisdom is the only can able to remove our ignorance. That's the only thing. So, and that wisdom, individual, we have to build, we have to create, we have to educate. The education is individual, then a self-responsibility. We have to think, we have to study, learn, then implement, meditate, or reflect it in your mind, then slowly change our mind. The perception will be changed, where our thinking will be changed. So as long as when the mind change, every your concept, where you're seeing, or where the things appear in your mind will be changed. So your action will be changed, everything will be changed into there. So that's why the mantra, the Heart Sutra mantra, when we're reciting, it's not just only the word, it's the rather, to meditate on the ultimate reality. It's every phenomena, all the phenomena, including self and others, nobody exists independently. There's nothing, anything who exists by its own, solid, independently. But when the minds, when we look there, everything looks like solid. There are, this bell looks like solid, exists there. But the reality is not exist solid independently. It's they exist, but they not exist independently because that bell is fully depending on each parts and directions and all there. So everything exists dependently, dependent on others, mutual dependent. So anything when you investigate is not findable. It's going to be disappear, right? Everything is not solid there. It will be disappear. So that doesn't mean they are not exist. That means they are not exist by its own, right? It's called inherent existence. They are not exist inherently. They are not exist by its own. So how they exist? They exist depend on their part and others. That's the way they exist. So meditate on emptiness, which doesn't mean it's like nihilistic or nothingness or empty, like space, nothingness. Doesn't mean that. Meditate on emptiness, which means empty of independent existence. So ultimate reality of self is not exist independently. It's not exist solid there. So that means when we meditate self, it's called self empty of inherent existence. So that's the only, when you meditate self and all the phenomena where we see and touch everything, they exist there, but they're not solid something, there. So there's nothing to point there, bad or good or beautiful or ugly or this. There's nothing, something pointable. So when we attach the object, when they appear to us, it looks like very attractive, very beautiful, solid there. That's we believe. So that's why when we believe that, it's like appear like it's solid there. That's why it creates us inner very attachments. That. So as much as when you have attached, then we lose our freedom. We have to follow what the attachment needed. So that's why human beings measure our problems. It comes from human attachment. We have so many attachments. We have so strong, deep, heavy attachments. We are full of slaved of attachment. We just follow the attachments. So finally, attachment, where they lead us with a very fearful life, very scareful life, very worry too much. The human beings, our minds always with full of fear, worry, depression, stress, and all this. We think these problems created by external here or community is actually the source of those problems created by our own attachments. We have so much high expectation, we have so many things we looking, some dreaming, then sometimes we can't get that. We can't reach that. We can't achieve that. So then we have a fear. Then we have a worry. Then we have a depression. Then it creates us anger, hatreds. Then all other, troubles, sufferings. As long as when our mind is disturbed, disturbed by those negative, those emotions, then we never ever live with very happy and peace. So all those destruction, thoughts, it's created by those ignorance, don't understanding the ultimate truths. As long as when we understanding the ultimate truth, ultimate reality, then there's nothing that much worry about. Like for instance, like a self, when we have thinking like, oh, I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to lose my husband and wife and this, and fear and worry. I, so much strong deep of our heart, grasp self, me, something looks like it's solid there. But when you really investigate, you very much worry, you very much fear about something, self, but that self, where there is, how they exist, who's that? If you really investigate, it's not findable. Is this body is me? Or this mind is me? Or is this soul is me? Or what is there? If you go each part of your body, never find it. This body is not a me, right? This arm is not a self. This head is not a self. If head is self, then toes is also self. And head and toe is completely two separate phenomena. So there's two separate self, three separate self. It's very complicated. So each part of our body is not findable. Then when you go to the mind, each part of mind is also not a self. There's a positive mind, there's a negative mind. Within the negative, there's so many anger, hatred. Which is the self? If you go, it's not findable. There's nothing self, something solid there. It's not findable there. So that doesn't mean there's self not exists, because we feel. I feel suffering. I feel happiness. There's something there. But they are not exist by its own, it's not findable, there's not pointable things there, but still you feel something. So how does that self exist? A self exists, just we label, we just impute it, designate it on the basic of imputation, which are the five aggregates, which are all body and consciousness or mind or feeling. That's we label it, but they are not a self. We label its function as the self. That's why the self exists. So self exists which fully, dependently. It's like a wave. If you go there, it's nothing any findable. So when you think about that, then self is something not really fearful or something solid there. It makes you very disappear, sort of like a very, there's nothing to worry about these things. There's nothing to something. It makes you really calm. So during the recitation of the mantra, we're meditating to ultimate reality of self, ultimate reality of others, ultimate reality of all the phenomena, which is we see, we hear, we touch, all these things, ultimate reality, they all are empty nature. They are empty of independent existence. It's not findable. It's not pointable. Is this short? This is tall. We're saying this looks like short there and exists by its own, but the reality, this is short because of this is tall, right? Without tall, there's no short. How can we decide these things become short because of tall? So that telling us short exists, but they not exist by its own. They not exist independently. They exist fully dependent on talls. So if you go to the short side, it's not findable. It's disappear, like direction, right? Say this east, this the west direction. Without investigate, looks like east means something solid. This is the direction, is the east. But if you really investigate why this direction is east, how it's become a east, if you go there, it's not findable. This direction is east because this is the west. Without west, there's no exist east. The east exists, but they not exist by its own. Right? They not exist independently. They exist fully depend on west. So everything is like a just dependently existence. There's nothing solid there. So when you meditate like these things, it's completely changed way of you thinking, way of you fear, all those worry. It's everything's, they are just as dependently. So that's why this mantra, when we're reciting, it's not just only the mantra, just a word, rather go to the meaning of that mantra. So this Tayata Kati Kati Parakati Parasangati, there's 5 steps. It's called accumulation part, preparation part, seeing part, meditation part, and no more learning part. It's 5 parts. But those 5 parts is actually through understanding the ultimate reality, then it can remove, gross level of ignorance. Then you jump a little bit higher. That's why your mind is cleaning by those parts. So mainly the cleaning, it's not just power of mantra. The cleaning is the power of understanding the ultimate reality, your own wisdom who understanding the reality. That mind slowly is cleaning your ignorance. As long as when your ignorance is cleaning, your mind's getting better and better and better. That's why it's called you are getting closer to the enlightenment. So that's why during the recitation of the mantra, you should really meditate. All the phenomena are empty of independent existence. Each and all phenomena they just exist dependent on each other. Everything's like an interconnection, just like a wave, as a dependently. So there's nothing solid something. Then out of that, then self and others, dependently. Why this being become a self? Because they are others. Why they become others? Because this is self. So self and other is not just completely separated. Self and others are fully dependently. It's like a network. So your mind, today we have a huge, big gap. Self and others, we put between these two, big wall, completely separated. So always angry, hated, fight, and all those negative behave. It's because of gap between self and others. As long as understanding the ultimate reality, everything's a dependent. If there's no others, then there's no self. If there's no self, there's no others. So self and others like an east and west direction. It's completely mutual dependently. So my happiness is dependent on others, right? So thinking on that way, then meditate on for imaginable. How wonderful if all beings will free from suffering. How wonderful may all beings be happy, peace. So they will be free from suffering. So that's the for imaginable practice. Through understanding the dependent origination between self and others, through understanding the dependent, interdependent connection between self and others, then love to others, compassion to others, joy to others, equanimity, all sentient beings make it equal. They are all same, just dependently. So that makes sense through the philosophy. Otherwise, compassion is just we doing it because of this is good mind. That's all. There's no finding something deep of your heart. The reason, is that's the really, is make us really happiness. All those things. If your understanding is much deeper, then your practice become more reality. If your belief is just very surface, like out of faith, your practice become faith practice. It's not come from deep of your heart. If you're understanding from deep of your heart, then your faith or your practice comes from deep of your heart. That will change your mind. So the purpose of our practice is to change, to improve our mind into the positive, into the correct mind, the valid mind. That's the main purpose of the practice. So when we reciting this mantra, we should really first meditate on emptiness. And if you are Buddhist, then you should really appreciate the Buddha who came in this world more than 2,500 years ago, and he gave this kind of message, which is very, very powerful, interdependent. Every phenomena, each and all phenomena exists dependently. There's nothing any exists independently. He gave this talk, teaching in second wheel of Dharma, when he teach in Vulture Peak. There's the one, what you call the place called Vulture Peak. He gave teaching on Panchaparamita Sutra, and this mantra is the essence of that sutra. So that he gives the message is that to teach what is the truth, what is the reality, who give us the trouble. So ignorance is the only thing we have to change that. As long as misconception, mistake mind there, always create mistake, always the trouble. So that's why when he give those message, the interdependent origination, it's very, very powerful, what you call meaningful, important teaching. So appreciate. Faith to the Buddha is not just blind faith or something great or this or that. Rather, faith or trust to that person means through understanding his education, his knowledge, where he teach how powerful, through understanding the dharma, if you create your inner respect or trust to this guy, that's more intelligent, smart way. The otherwise, like a cult. I say, oh, okay, great, it's very good. You don't know who he is. You don't know it's real. What is there? Is this guy, who is this guy? Means through understanding his dharma, where he gives this knowledge, is this truth? What is that? How powerful? So through understanding the dharma, if you have some kind of respect or interest or faith to him, that helps you to change your mind, to study more, to educate oneself, to get rid of your ignorance, to encourage yourself. It helps you. Otherwise, it's like a mystical sort of faith. It's not that much. So then, yeah, through that, then some kind of faith and respect to the Buddhas through understanding his Dharma, during the meditation. Then mainly for immeasurable, to think about all sentient beings. They generate love, compassion, rejoicing, and equanimity for immeasurable. Then mandala offerings, to appreciate Buddha's teaching this. That's why I offer all my virtues and merits, form of universe, and I offer him, and my request is not makes me happy. My request is to benefit to all sentient beings. So fully unconditional love to all sentient beings without selfish. Then I offer this universe to you to bless us, to save us. So that's the practice we're doing. So its practice is very simple. If you think much deeper, you can go your practice more deeper way. Otherwise, it's just sound and it's just reciting, not that much powerful. Okay, now I'm going to recite that prayer, and we should really meditate these things. Daya tha gati gati para gati parasam gati buddhi soha daya tha gati gati para gati parasam gati buddhi soha daya tha gati gati para gati parasam gati buddhi so daya tha gati gati para gati parasam gati buddhi soha daya tha gati gati para gati parasam gati buddhi soha daya tha gati gati para gati parasam gati buddhi soha daya tha gati gati para gati parasam gati buddhi soha. May all beings have happiness. May they be free from suffering. May they find the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from attachments and hatred. May all beings have happiness. May they be free from suffering. May they find the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from attachments and hatred. May all beings have happiness. May they be free from suffering. May they find the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from attachments and hatred. Idam Guru Ratna Mendala Kamniya Tayami. Okay, now today the topic is seeing meaningful life through love and compassion, right? This month, all my topic is how to make your life meaningful. So the first topic is called seeing meaningful life through mindfulness and concentration. And then second, last week, we went seeing meaningful life through the 8 noble paths. Now today, seeing meaningful life through love and compassion. So making your mind meaningful life through mindfulness and concentration is really simple way to understanding what is the purpose of my life, what is my nature, and how to make oneself life very meaningful, which means how to live oneself with very peaceful harmony life through understanding the mindfulness, through the mindfulness and concentration. So always keep your mindful. Purpose of I'm here, purpose of going to work, purpose of living with my husband and my wife, or purpose of working. It's on the main purposes. It's about happiness, harmony, peaceful. Always that mindful, thinking that again and again. So, and that helps you, your attitudes. It helps you, your focus. Its focus is not just fight and create trouble, right? Make trouble, make suffering. Your focus is always how my focus is to keep my life peace and happiness, families and others, communities, all to keep peace and happiness. So always you're mindful that, so always you focus that, instead of focus, oh, how can I treat this? How can I fight to this guy? How can I win to this? Or how can I do, all those negative thoughts is destroy your life. Living with very negative attitudes, living with very violent attitudes, never ever makes you happy. Never. Oneself suffering, full of fear, full of worry, your families, your communities beside you, everybody makes suffering, horrible lives. Then what's the purpose, right? We're born now, finally we're going to die. And this small period, that small time there, and this period always trouble, making oneself suffering and others, then finally die. No worthwhile life, right? Nothing there. What you got it? Nothing. During the living time, suffering. Not only oneself, creating trouble toward also others. Then finally when they die, and everybody will have to die. We have to go that. So when you really understanding the purpose of my life is living with peaceful, happy life. Wow, how this is my purpose. How I should know this is purpose of my life. Why I come to this planet. Why I born to this planet. Why I go to the work. Why I share my life with him or her. All this is purpose is peace and happiness and healthy life. But how you know this is the purpose, right? That's the very important. So everything we're doing is not just sort of blind faith or somebody telling us. Rather, individual, oneself, thoroughly understanding. That's why I'm doing. So if you have understanding by your own heart, your determination, your confidence, very different. It comes very deep. Never ever going to, change that. You remain very stable. So how we know that this is our purpose is because our identity, our natures, the human nature is simple, just wants to be peace and happiness and don't want suffering. That's the human nature, right? We born, first when we born in this planet, and that moment, we already have that nature, wants to be happy, peace, and don't want suffering. Nobody teach us, nobody influence us or tell us. This is just being a human we have naturally. We should use like a little baby when she first born. You can see that. She has not any influence by any others. She don't know how to talk, how to communicate. She's nothing. But that little baby, when she suffer, she's crying. When she's happy, she's smiling. So through that body language, we should really know that baby don't want suffering. That baby wants to live happy and peaceful. And she's moving here, there, her body is just moving. All those movement, it's what about? About happiness. When she's uncomfortable, when she's suffering, then crying and moving here, there. When she's very happy, she's remaining very quiet, with very happy. So even small movement of body, she's hungry about wants to live with peace and happiness. So we can see that through her body language, her innate natural heart, innate natural desire is clear, just wants to be peace and happiness, healthy, don't want suffering. And that heart never change it. Teenage, adult, today we have same that hearts always. So when we go to the work, do this everything because of that reason. If we really don't care about happiness and suffering, then there's no way to go to work. Why I have to go to work? I suffer, don't care. I happy, don't care. So that's not. We always going to the work and doing here, there, all those things we're doing. It's clear. That's heart. It's inseparably. It's always remain there. This is human identity. This is my identity. It just wants to be peace and happiness. That's why we go to the school. That's why we educate. That's why we work. That's why, choose this or that lifestyle. Every movement we're doing, it's about that reason. So sometimes it's good to see it in the highway, sometimes the traffic jam, when you look, the cars, thousands of cars running up and down and busy, sometimes middle of days, even sometimes at night, they're running up and down, they're moving, rushing up and down. Simple, why they're rushing? Why they're moving this? Simple, they're hungry about happiness and peace, don't want suffering. That's why they're running. That's why they're going to this, all these things. So, through understanding our identity, our nature, then purpose of my life is clear. Because of that, I go to school, I go to work. That means purpose of my life is to create peace and happiness, to live oneself with fully peace and happiness, to remove sufferings oneself and families and community and society. That's our purpose, right? So meaningful life, living with a meaningful, achieve meaningful life, which means person who lives like that way, that means you got your meaningful life. Otherwise, even if you have you make lots of money, or you reach a very high position, very powerful person, or the owner of like a huge big property, whatever, as long as if you not reach that peace, happiness, oneself and others, that means your life is not meaningful. Still trouble, always making trouble, always greedy, always selfish, out of greedy, selfish, attachment, anger and arrogance, making trouble oneself, making trouble their families, making trouble, creating trouble toward their workers and other people. Their life is very miserable, not happy peace. Their families living in like a royal palace, but their life is very miserable, not happy family. Then same the workers, they're all very miserable life. So that kind of life, if you have, didn't got really meaningful. Doesn't matter how much money you're making, not a meaningful. So because I mentioned earlier, human identity, our nature, we should touch everything we're doing this because of that reason. So as long as when you don't reach that level, that means you didn't get it. Doesn't matter how much make money. So in order to get there, purpose is the peace, happiness, oneself and others. That's the main purpose. That's what I'm doing. So you should make your heart and your purpose relation, connection, connecting to your purpose. Otherwise, you're losing your purpose. You fully ignore, you disappear your purpose. Then you're thinking my purpose is rich, money, or power, or big celebrate, or famous people, some kind of that purpose. Then if you disappear your main purpose, then always trouble. Because of money, then we fight it, create trouble, fight it, and do all this or that. Because of money, doesn't matter. I can fight, I can make trouble, I can do everything. Then what's the purpose, right? You make lots of this, and all those material is to make oneself and others happy. That makes you peace, happiness. You didn't reach that. So why? There are many people who work very hardly. It's not easy to reach that level. It's not easy. Work very hardly, they got it, this thing, but their life is still full of stress. Very miserable life. Their families are not happy. Always, what's the problem? What's missing there? The missing is you didn't connect between your main heart and your goal. There's no connection. So that's why the first topic, when we talk about mindfulness and concentration, to make connection between your heart and your purpose, you should always mindful. My purpose is that, happiness and peace. So as long as that mindfulness is there, then your concentration is always there. Your first choice is happiness and healthy and peace. Not my first choice is money or power or something material. So as long as when your first choice is material, then always fighting, trouble, miserable, all those problems comes here. That's why there are a number of people living with like a royal luxury life, but their life is very miserable. Their mind is always full of stress, full of depression, sadness, inner pain, not really pleasure, really painful. And in order to get rid of that pain, the way is to drink and drunk. That's the many people doing. Fancy, I don't know, very expensive alcohols, then drink. And I don't know how long, little bit strange feeling, whatever, feel like joy. Then 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Then eventually addiction. Then big trouble, right? So that's all those mistakes is lack of that connection between your goal and there. So the mindfulness is not just out of blind. Through understanding your nature, your really identity, then make connection. Then your concentration always be concentrate. Choice first is peace. How can live oneself happy? How can make happiness your families and other people? First your choice there. In order to make that happiness, I'm going to work. I'm making money. I'm doing these things. It's about that. That's the purpose. So always any material you make there, you put to achieve that goal. It's not your goal and your material is going separated. So that's it. As long as when these two things going separated, then you're not going to get really happiness. So that's why first mindfulness and concentration. Then as long as when you already connected that, then second topic, how to make oneself happy, to achieve that goal. Just only by money, that's the only way to achieve happiness is only the money or power or something like name or reputation. Is that the only, or is another things? Which way we can reach? So that's why 8 noble paths and 8-fold paths is we talk about how to make oneself and others happy, how to reach that. So first, right view, understanding the right view. Then right intention, always accumulate intention. Then right mindfulness, concentration, effort. That's why right speech. That's why right action, right attitude. Then last, right livelihood. That's the comes. So through the 8-fold path, how to make oneself live really peaceful, happy, meaningful life. That's we went last week. Now today, through love and compassion. Now it's not only like my intention is good, or not only that way to change my behavior or to change my attitude or to change my negative speech. There's more meaningful life. Not only that way, rather to develop love and compassion to all sentient beings, to develop love and compassion even toward strangers, your enemies. Through that, then how should one person can live meaningful? Through that, achieve the meaningful life. So to do these things, first we should understanding love and kindness and compassion. What that mean? What's mean by love and kindness? What's mean by compassion? And how love and compassion give us peace and happiness? How love and compassion lead us into the meaningful life? So in order to do that, first, love, which means it's not about something like a romantic love. It's here the love and kindness, which means love and kindness. It means it's called like unconditional love. So there's a desire, there's a wish. Usually we have in it some kind of desire, seeking oneself happy every day. That's our nature, oneself seeking peace, happiness. Now here love, which means not only one, seeking others be happy and peace. How other beings will be peace and happiness. How wonderful if all beings had happiness or achieve peace and happiness. That kind of desire, seeking others' well-beings, seeking others' happiness and peace, that desire is called love. And compassion, which means wishing them to be free from sufferings. So the two things we have to do, our job is two. One thing, suffering. We have to combat, we have to stop this. Another thing is happiness. We have to develop, we have to achieve. That's the only thing, our work, our job is that, to reduce the suffering, to increase happiness, make happy. So that same other sentient beings, they have also same nature, and they also, because of their wants peace and happiness, are wishing them to have happiness. Because of they don't want sufferings, but when we see them, everybody, they all have same sufferings, physical, mental, emotional sufferings. That's why I wish them to be free from suffering. I wish all beings be free from sufferings. So that kind of desire, wish, is called compassion. But this is not easy. It's very, very difficult, very hard to develop. As long as when you're able to develop this mind, makes oneself full of peace and happiness, makes others happy and peaceful. That's the source of happiness. It comes from love and compassion. That's the source of, because that's the change your heart. So as long as when your heart is fully love to all beings, if you have that love, there's no way to be angry. There's no way to hate to other people. There's no way to use harsh word and fighting and arguing. All these negative attitudes, negative behavior, it comes from self-centered, selfish. So to get rid of that self-center, we call altruism, altruism mind, the mind of altruism. So the altruism, which means love and compassion to others, seeking others' benefit, make them happy. So that mind, as long as when you have these kind of minds, then it's fully changed. The way of you seeing, way of you thinking, way of your planning, way of your actions completely change. So right now today, if you're seeing so much bad, everything you see them as a bad, you're planning so much bad things, your attitudes become very violent or very negative. What's wrong? What way they come from? It comes from here, deep of our anger, hatred, selfish, negative mind there. That's created. So as long as when you don't change those emotions, always, how much you try, always difficult to change, always problems. Because we are social beings. So social beings, in order to survive, we need the relation with others, right? That's clear. You have to go to work, you have to do this or that. Always you have to communicate and relate it with the others. As long as when your mind is always in a negative way, when you communicate, when you engage your mind to the objects, always you're picking all those negative things. You become more sensitive on the negative side. That's why always you're seeing negative. You see negative, you feel negative. That's the clear. So when you feel the negative, that creates your inner, frustration, stress, depression. Then it brings you more angry, hatreds. Then it affects your physical, your attitudes. Everything's going to be negative. So in order to get rid of that, first we have to treat, to change. So to get rid of selfish, just prayer is not going to work that, right? It's a psychological problem. We have to change the vision. Like for instance, if you wear the yellow glasses, then always seeing this yellow to turn this yellow image into dark blue image. We can't go there and do it. Rather, we have to take out these yellow glasses, then wear the blue glasses, then every image when you appear in your mind, everything's become a blue, right? Which kind of image appear in your mind that fully you have freedom, what you want to do. So that's one thing is, good thing is what you feel, what kind of energy feeling you will going to get. It's fully, you have a fully freedom. You can change that like a glasses. So if I wear the anger and negative glasses, always the image when they appear in my mind, scary, bad, horrible image. That's why I always feel that. So in order to get rid of that, if I wear the loving kindness, loving compassion glasses, then image completely change. Image change doesn't mean this guy, when I look in anger, he always smiles. Now he's always wrathful face. It's not about that. Way of the action used to be when he's screaming or something. When I see these things, used to be makes me very scared, very angry, fear, too much inner uncomfortable. But out of compassion, love and compassion classes, when I see same image screaming, for me that image is not on the negative side. I'm seeing that image as this guy is suffering. He has suffering of anger. He has suffering of inner attitudes. That's why I catch that image that appear in my mind, is give the message to build more compassion this guy. It's the message of generating compassion. I'm seeing as this guy is suffering. So out of anger, when I looked at, I seeing as this guy is making trouble. It makes me fear. Very horrible image to very, what you call very compassion image. Two different image doing same thing, but they appear in my mind two different image. That's why when you see in this way, you feel more calm. You feel more peaceful, more compassion, more loving. So you feel that positive, your actions remain positives. That's why your relationship with them has become positives. So what kind of feeling, what kind of image appear in your mind, it's fully dependent on you. You have fully power. You have fully freedom to what kind of image you want it. So that's very good things, right? It's not about what kind of image there. It's about what kind of image you see. It's not about horrible there, right? If you see as a good image, makes you happy. If seeing that image as a bad image, even in good, but if you see them as a bad, makes you trouble. What you see is not about what they are. That's very clear. What you see. So what you see is depend on where you're looking. So if you're looking in the bad, you see bad, you feel bad. So if you look in good side, you see good, you feel good. So it's not about the object, it's about where you're looking. Then what will you see? So and these all things fully depend on where you're looking, depend on my mind. What you see depend on my mind. This is my mental image. That's the only I can see, my mental image. Nobody can see that. So that my mental image project by my mind. So I have a fully freedom. So think that way to how much benefit to have love and compassion to all sentient beings. If you're able to live like that way, you're always seeing something completely different things. So your focus is completely different. Your feeling is always completely different. So that's why saying love and compassion makes oneself meaningful life. Same time, your family and others all makes them very happy, peaceful life. So source of that happiness and peace come from love and compassion. So how to develop love and compassion then? Right? It's very hard, very difficult. Is that possible? Is that really possible to develop love and compassion or not? So we should really, investigate, thoroughly investigate to find the reason by your own heart. If they're really possible, if you see that really these are possible, then if you believe that, then it helps you to encourage, do love and compassion, develop your love and compassion. If you see this is impossible, it's very good, but impossible. As long as when you have that kind of mind, never success. How long you meditate love and compassion, never ever you will going to develop, achieve love and compassion to all sentient beings. So first, it's very important, everything what you're doing, you need strong belief. That belief is not out of faith, blind faith, or something out of, just other people saying. That belief should come from out of your wisdom to understanding, cognizing the reality through that. So if that possible or not means they are possible. How we know means even the one person, when you first to see this guy always makes you trouble, also you're fighting each other. Eventually you see something, his qualities, he behaves a little bit change, you see this or that, then you see something different guy, that's the same person, but when you, through your understanding of this guy, inner the problem, all these things is change your mind to him. Before angry, so you seeing he's horrible person. Then after another reason, you see he feels sorry for this guy, then you feel compassion. So when you see him as a very sorry, he has this problem, that problem, then you feel, like for instance, sometimes often people have these kind of problems, maybe husband or wife, whoever, they lose their job. Now they are very much worried about their children. They very much worry about their family. How can I take care? They are fully love to their family to try to make them happy life. But unfortunately, when they lose the job, then they don't have money, then they can't take care. So, very stress, very depression. And that stress and depression, it comes from because he really care about their children, very love and compassion to their children. So that's why he have that kind of, when they're losing things, he have very stress. Out of stress, depression, too much inner pain, he can't handle it. It's very difficult, hard to leave that. Then he choose alcohol. So when he choose the alcohol, he drink. Then one day, 2 days, drinking, always drunk. Then he's always living with the drunk. Then when he drunk, he abusing to the other people, his children or families, whoever, abusing. Then when you don't know those reasons, you only see he's abusing, bad guy, makes you very angry. You want to really do something to maybe cut at him or something, right? Very angry. And that moment, even when you hear about this guy, his name, you feel angry, hate to that person. Then after somebody, they told you, no, he's doing because he loses his job. He really taking care of his families. He only the things is he just want them, makes them happy, peaceful. He lost their job, very stressed, he full of fear, worry. He drink, he drunk. That's why the trouble comes. So when you see the trouble comes behind these reasons, your anger is a little bit change, right? You're understanding the person, he's suffering, how much he has problems, sufferings. So through that, you feel same image, abusing whatever they're doing, when you see, change now. Before makes you angry, hated, today this time you change your compassion, feel much sorry to this guy. So that possible, our mind from this side to that side, it's possible. Only the thing is, we have to know, we have to take the message, proper right message. We have to take that message, then we have to build change. So changing our mind is not just something, only the prayer or something. Rather, what kind of message you're choosing, What kind of message you're taking, you're giving to your heart. So as long as when you got right message, your heart will be changed. So from that point, it is possible to, if this is possible, my anger change into compassion to that same guy. If that's possible, then why not? It can possible to all other sentient beings. If I got proper, right message, if I able to get that, achieve that, then I can change whole my heart into full of love and compassion to all sentient beings. That's possible. So that's why thinking these are really possible. Number of people thinking, oh, this monk, he don't know about this business world, because this business world is not easy. You should be angry, you should be fight, you should be lie, you should be treat back to these people, you should be challenged those people, otherwise you can't survive. That many people do have that, but it's not. You should do everything out of your love and compassion to all other sentient beings. You should do any other action, do that way. So through that, when you're understanding that way, then, okay, if that possible, I know if I able to live my mind is full of love and compassion to all sentient beings, it will definitely make oneself fully peace and happiness with my family and community. That definitely believe. Now second thing is, now I believe this is possible. I can able to do this. It's not just mystical, nice word, a saying. This is, I can able to do that. So sort of like through the reason built that kind of determination, something believe. And also upon there, one of the good thing is being a human. According in the Lamrim text, we meditate precious human life. We meditate always that. Its main thing is being a human. We have human intelligent brain, which is marvelous. That brain can function. Other beings, like animals, ants and dogs and cats, their brain can function something limit. But the human beings, if we use that worthwhile, 100% brain, our brain has capacity to change whole our mind into the pure mind. That we should really appreciate that kind of equipment we have. So being a human, we call precious human life, is not about human can dance and sing and make a money and do this or that. It's not about that. Treat animals can do whatever you want. It's not about that. Why are we thinking precious human life? Human life is important because human brain, we have very intelligent, very powerful, very what you call precious brain, which we have, can able to change whole our negative thoughts, emotions, able to change from that brain if we use proper, worthwhile. In animals, very hard to teach that emptiness, very hard to teach meditate and love and compassion, very hard to teach them stop anger and hatred, very hard. How can we do that? Human beings, we can do these things. We can change our mind from anger to completely into love and compassion. That kind of equipment, human beings, we have that human intelligence. So you should be proud of being a human being. It's because of that reason. It's not about to make money or beautiful this or this cloth, dress, all those material, we have it, which is animal don't have. This is not about that. Only if that's only the reason, then unfortunate human being, sometimes we have more suffering than animals. Our life is living much, much, much expensive than animals, but the human beings, our suffering is much, much bigger. You can see, you should see these small butterflies and those bees. I don't think they have a lot, frustration, anxiety, and stress or depressions and all those inner problems. They're living very simple life. They eat what they wanted, and without damaging flowers, everything. They just take a nectar what they want to survive, to take care of their small babies or their eggs. They're doing no frustration, no drama, no angry hate. It's very loving, calm, happy being. Animals, see how much frustration we have, how much depressions, how much worry, fear, anxiety, so many things. But all of this, when you look, what's the point? About family, about my life, about my business, about my money, about all this, about material, all this. So we use our brain is just for that. That's we call, what you call unfortunate life, which is don't understand where we have to use our brain. So to be proud of human beings, which means precious human beings, which means really think, I have this kind of opportunity tool, and that human intelligent brain we can't buy, we can't make it, we can't something create it. It's our natural, born human beings, this we have natural. So we think that and encourage oneself. Now I use this brain much better way than animals, than others, to make meaningful life myself. I have meaningful, very important tool I have. I use this tool to make myself very meaningful life. So that's, therefore, how to do that, so that brain think to keep meaningful today is love and compassion I have to generate. So in order to generate love and compassion, first, how do I generate? Instead, first, compassion to other, love to other, very hard. You can love to your children, you can love to your families, your friend, quite easy. But then love to strangers, love to enemies, love to troublemaker, very difficult, very hard. But because of not loving, because of hate, angry to them, result makes my life miserable, makes their life miserable, nothing benefit. So I can see if I'm able to generate love and compassion to them, makes me happy, makes them happy. That's the purpose of our life. So thinking, living with anger, living with love to my enemy or stranger, living with love and is much more beneficial, no doubt. So I have to do that to develop. But how, specifically for strangers, my boss or somebody, how I do that, is that possible? Why it is difficult? It's easy to my children, why they're difficult? Then when you look, why it's very easy to my children? Because my children are very close to me. My mind is not physical close. Mentally, my mind is very close to my friend and families. As long as when my mind is close to them, very easily love, very easily compassion. Enemies, my mind is very far. I don't want to associate them. As long as my mind is very far to them, very difficult to generate love and compassion to them, because I need connection. So there is no connection, it's very far. So how to make close to others? Before love and compassion meditation, first we should really focus to make sense of closeness to others. Feel like dear, mind of endearment toward all sentient beings, including stranger or enemies. How to do that? Remember others' good qualities. Remember others' kindness. So as long as when you look their good qualities, their kindness, it will change. Definitely, immediately, your mind will be changed to them. Before, when you see your boss or whoever, your enemies or strangers, you are very familiar on the negative side. Always you see negative. That's why you feel very far. That's why you're angry. So if you change that to look positive way, first I have to look positive, their good qualities, Their positive qualities. So as long as when I look there, slowly I will see something. As long as when you see there's something good qualities there, mental reflection, it's called meditation. Meditate, which means think again and again about that. So you shift your image before, when you say, for example, your boss is very screaming, so when you say, my boss, your mind is always of the image of boss is screaming, this guy is screaming, makes you fear, makes you really. You have to change that. You're always saying, this boss is screaming, but he has a very good heart, something, right? Any positive, for instance, if you have a good heart. So you're only looking this heart. First you have to look that to find something. Every being has something good qualities there. Each and all beings, they have their own good qualities. For instance, like a butterfly has a one very good quality is he take the essence of flower without damaging flower, colors, everything. He just take these things. Very good quality. We don't have this. Right? We cut it, chop it. Then what we need, we got very small pieces. Big horrible things we damage. That's the human being we're doing. It's these beings just taking what they needed without damage. Other people can still take things. That's very smart things they have. Look these things. Similarly, every being has something. So as long as when you see something good quality, when you have to look first, then when you see, always think that, to build that, to look more and more, think more about this. Make your mind familiarity into good qualities for these persons. Then slowly it shifts, the image change. Instead of screaming big boss, I don't know how to say screaming big boss, or when the person very screaming, what do you say? Scream boss. Okay, so change that person into good heart big boss, right? So your mind is completely changed. Your anger is changed. So that's why we should really learn something. Anything we need to go there to find something their good qualities. You have to look first, you have to investigate to find something good. As long as when you're getting more good quality, if you find more good quality, your mind of endearment is getting, you will increasing more mind of endearment. If you see very deep good qualities, you generating very deep of mind of endearment. It depends on what you see. So that's why to develop that, finally, if you see so many there, at least, simple thing is, their nature is very innocent. That's one good thing. I always thinking these things. How much horrible person, their fundamental nature is very innocent, which means they just wants to be peace and happiness, don't want suffering. Like me, we have completely same nature. That's very important to look that way. When they're first born, they just wants to be peace and happiness, don't want suffering. Today they go to the work just for that reason. They're screaming because of that reason. So their heart is really same like my heart, just wants to be peace and happiness. The nature is completely same, but polluted by their anger, greediness, arrogance, negative thought, emotion, damage that person. That person itself is just very innocent, like me, seeing that way to all sentient beings. Then slowly look, there's some kind of good qualities, this, he's taking care of this. Because of my boss, I got a job. Because of job, I make money. Because of money, I benefit to my families. We survive. That's his kindness. But angry, I'm working him, I'm doing, he's making money. Negative. It's simple. If you chase it out, what you can do? You bring other people. So I'm survive. If you're looking on the positive way, there are so many positive things. I'm survived because of his giving me the job. So that's I use that. I able to take care of my families, to appreciate all those good qualities again and again. Slowly your minds change. Then you're looking much deeper, how much the kindness, that remember others' kindness. So always general millions of beings, their kindness, which is we not remember, But everything we use, we drive, our shelter and food, everything, others' kindness. Without others, no. There's each individual work very hardly, under the sun, under the rain, work very hard. A number of people, they sacrifice their life to make this food and shelters and roads and all those material. Today I'm using these things. Their kindness. So everything doesn't matter. Some unfortunate we have a mind. How can I, remember their kindness? They don't have intention to do these things. They're doing because of their money. We sometimes think those negative, but that doesn't mean if they have intention or not. As long as it's benefit to me, that's the very important. As long as it's benefit to me, I appreciate their kindness. So apply all those others, the kindness. Remember others' kindness again, then slowly your mind change. You feel very close to others. You feel very dear to other sentient beings. So when you're able to generate mind of endearment toward all sentient beings, then when you see their compassion, and when they see their suffering, you generate compassion. When you see their beings are suffering, you feel, I'm very sorry. I wish those beings will be free from sufferings. I wish those beings will be free from causes of sufferings. When they're shouting, screaming, and fighting, you're always looking at them. I wish they be free from their bad attitudes. They're free from their anger and hatred. It's damaging him. It's creating trouble, suffering to him. This innocent guy will be suffer. So I feel compassion. So any negative behavior when you see, for you, this is the message of compassion. So always to make that familiar into there. So any movement, when people driving, traffic and running up and down for you, this is the message of compassion. They're all suffering. They're running, seeking happiness, healthy, and they have fear of suffering, running there to looking something, how to get rid of that suffering. So every movement, these are for me as a compassion. Seeing them is feel full of compassion. So every sign or anything when you see, for you, it's all give you the message of feel compassion for them. So that's all you can able to do that. When you're able to do this, everything when you see, you don't need to ignore, you don't need to hide it. Your mind is fully freedom, open. Any bad image, good image, whatever you see, for you, everything gives you the message of level of compassion. So that's very smart way, and these are possible. So you living with a very strange area, very strangers area, but you living with this kind of what you call the environment. It's very difficult, very strange environment, but you living with very peaceful. For you, all this gives you the compassion feeling, message of compassion. So your mind is always with the compassion and love. So you living with very full of peace. So then love, which means wish them to have happiness. So they're doing everything about happiness, because of happiness. So their movement, everything they're doing is about happiness. So I wish them to be happy, peace. So always thinking that again and again. Then everything when you see, when you hear, anything makes you feel love to them. So that's the way these are possible. Only the tricky things you should do that mind change. So sometimes love, sometimes compassion, meditation. So sometimes if you will feel of stress, depression, fear, then maybe sometimes compassion is a little bit difficult. Love, I think a little bit better means a little bit easier. So makes your mind pops up. When you depress, your mind is too down, suffering, this fear, this worry, your mind has no power to fight them. You don't have full willpower. If you are that situation, meditate love. Just everything you look them as a happiness, peace. I wish them happy. I myself wants to be happy. I wishing them be always happy and peace. So it gives you happiness, gives your minds pop up, right? Pull up. So gives your mind's excitement. So because you're too stressed, sometimes it's difficult. When your compassion meditation might be difficult, I'm not sure, but you check yourself, right? But then that point, that time, love meditation pops up. Sometimes too much exciting. Oh, I have tomorrow, I have marriage, I have this, that. You're too exciting. Your mind is too high. Can't concentrate because too much excitement. Then that moment, meditate compassion. Oh, all beings are suffering. Or that all these beings are suffering. Thinking about their suffering and meditate compassion, your minds pull you down, a little bit down. So not too high, not too down, balance there. So that moment, I think love and compassion can help you, go this way, that way, depend on your attitude. Sometimes when you see too much suffering, things like that, meditate compassion. Sometimes you're thinking something very good, this society is growing very good, you meditate other society can be that same way. To everything you got to receive any information, you use this information as to generate your love and compassion to all sentient beings. So finally this, when you're able to live like that way, then you don't have any expectation to, oh, my boss should change, my this one. You're not expectation there. You're always thinking, oh, everything is possible. There's everything possible to live with happy and peace. It's not only the environment and external material what surrounded me. Its main is my mind. So your expectation is instead of, oh, how wonderful if my boss is good, my workers are good, or this or then I can live very happy, my family, my husband, my wife, if these are good, I can. Instead of that expectation, you're always looking how oneself live with very peaceful, with same environment. Without changing that, how can oneself, I live happy, to change my mind, to seeing them as something different. And these are more reasonable and more practical. And these are possible. Instead of expectation, all this environment change, it's not impossible. How can you change that? Impossible. Rather, your expectation is here to change my mind, to live very happy, peaceful, in order to change my mind. When you're looking on that expectation, these are possible. And you can able to do that. In order to do these things, does not depend on money or power or any external material. Every human beings, we all have completely same potential. Every beings, educate, uneducate, or male or female, or monk or nun, or layperson, every beings, we all have completely same potential. So there's nothing to complain, I can't do this or that. We all have same potential. So it's much better, much practical, and more result much easier. So through that way, our daily life, to live with a very meaningful life, which means to through the love and compassion. So as long as our mind is really turned into love and compassion to all sentient beings, our behavior, our attitudes, thinking, planning, action completely change into positives. So that's why makes oneself, the family, society, communities, and your workplace, everywhere where you go, is create that pleasure, happiness. So the pleasure and peace not from out to in, it have to come from in to out. So as long as first one treat their mind, they treat their action, their attitude, then they, through their environment, finally to all sentient beings. That's, it's called seeking meaningful through love and compassion. That's very important, and these are possible. Now only the thing is, we have to do right now. Can't wait this. Finally, we're going to die, and life is too short. So rather, today, beginning, today, start it. It's not just 1 or 2 days we will succeed. It's take time, but a big continuous effort, diligent, continuous meditation, and think and try to change and go with your daily, this business life, to apply how much you understanding, how much you got your spiritual, you use that spiritual inner good quality into your mundane business life to change that, to use that. So your practice should be part of your life, apply to your business life. Then slowly it will be changed. And that's the purpose of our life. Okay, that's today. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now we're going to recite the Mani mantra, and during that time we should think, meditate, love and compassion.